secret societies and things that claim that they have hidden knowledge, and some of them have knowledge and some of them don't. Now, the last thing that I want to do is do research on some old boys club where they got secret handshakes, and then suddenly I know all the secret handshakes from the 14th century. Bores the hell out of me. All I want tangible physical evidence of the supernatural. Now, my logic for this is if there is tangible physical evidence of the supernatural on any level that we can put on film and say, hey, guess what? Bang, there's your ghost, supernatural creature, entity, monster, demon, Cthulhian being, whatever. Whatever we get on film, that would therefore mean that the atheists, such as my cameraman, are in fact wrong. Despite anything else they say, we don't know who's right, we don't know what to believe, but we know what not to believe. If we can capture one supernatural occurrence, one truly supernatural occurrence on film, poof, there's a demon. Okay, something like that. You have to then admit this means that there is, in fact, something beyond what we see in our lives. Now, that doesn't mean there's life after death. That doesn't mean that God's right. That doesn't mean that there's the thing we conjured with a demonic spell is even a demon. We don't know that. It could just be some sort of outworld creature. And I've got terminology I've used through a lifetime of amassing books and information and such, writing my horror stories and that, because I get deep into a lot of these different cultures, Tibetan culture and Tibetan mysticism, South American mysticism, and all around the world. But you'll find there's certain ties that sort of hold everything together. But the whole fishy world of the occult is very, very broad. It's huge. And it's hard to define what is in the occult and where it all fits and where that all goes. And that's something that I think if we can look into that and prove that there's something, anything, beyond the physical and beyond the real, from that point, once we know that that either does or does not exist. If it does exist, then we know what we need to look at, because clearly we're only alive for tops 150 years. That's if all, with current projections and everything. But if, let's say you live 150 years and you're dead, well, if there's something beyond life, right, then you should probably think about what that's going to be. You know what I mean? It's kind of like sitting there in your kit store and you're wondering, what am I going to do with my time and space while I'm here waiting to die? Because if I'm just going to die, and if there is nothing else, what's the point of life? Maybe we should all just be hedonists and make sure we hit Burning Man every year. You know what I mean? Like, what is the function we should be doing? So in order to figure out what you should be doing with your life, you have to determine what life is really all about. Is life just biological process? It's because my parents mated, they had sex, I was produced, I ate food, I've grown, I've slowly gone insane, and now I'm making movies. Or is there something more to this? Is there reincarnation? Who's right? There's brilliant people who are utterly convinced that the Bible, verbatim, is in fact the word, that's the truth. There was one man, one woman, a garden, and all that crap. There's people who buy that. I'm not one of them, but, there are people out there who believe it. Are they wrong? I can sit there and say, yeah, these people are wrong. Of course it's wrong. It doesn't make any sense. But how do I say I know that's wrong? Where's my proof? Where's my evidence? And if we had that evidence, if science could truly prove religion wrong, would they do it? I say no. Of course not, because it would destroy the entire fabric of culture, especially in North America. So, for the wogs, for the people out there who are trying to determine their path in life, we get a lot of gear together, we know where we're going, we have all of our stuff laid out. We got everything where we got to go. We got our job, we know our transportation situation, we know what we have. We now have to look at the unknown variables. We have to go out and say, okay, what's the point? What are we doing here? How do we get here? What's going on? And then once you determine your current situation, you can then formulate a plan of course of action that is right for you. It's not about doing what I say, it's about doing what you want. In order to figure out what you want to do, you have to have accurate data. And you cannot have a complete picture of the accurate data without ripping the veil off the occult curtain and going, hey, what's going on in here? Is this all crap or is it the truth? And that's what we're going to find out. Yeah, it's just what we need, is another heritage house in a prime location. Yeah, no cults here. Nope. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a normal tree. Got lots of those floating around. You betcha. Now.
That's underused.
Yeah, you see, we got this kind of a place here. Okay. Now, first of all, anytime you're going near any sort of a supernatural structure, you never, I don't care what the reason is, you never go in there at night. I don't give a shit what's happening. You don't go in there at night. You see it all the time. Oh, little Jimmy's missing. Let's wait for the fog to roll in and then we'll head down to the house. Fuck that. If Jimmy's missing and he's at the house, if you go in the house, you're going to get sucked in and eaten. That's how it works. So right now you want to, whenever you're researching a house, there's also a whole lot of stuff you're going to do before you even show up here. I mean, we're here now, it's kind of exciting, it's creepy, you know, there's like weird markings and stuff. Now let's just stop. You got to get the history of the house. You got to talk to the neighbors. You got to talk to people who lived in the community. You got to find out what the legends are about the house, what the stories are about the house. You got to check local papers. You got to check papers going back. You hear that story. You hear like 3 different stories. One is that a guy went and waxed his family, did himself. Next story is that there's a witch that lives up here. That's a little disconcerting when you have a bunch of kids who are like, well, yeah, we seen her. What was she doing? Oh, she was drinking cat's blood. We watched her do it. And I was like, oh, you kids. Kids don't make up stories like that. They either saw her drinking witch's cat's blood or they didn't, right? So you gotta make sure you keep that in check. Further to that, you gotta make sure you got an escape plan. You never ever do anything by yourself. If you're gonna be going inside the house, you wanna have ropes tied to you in case there's some kind of a problem. You know, and people go, well, what could happen? Dimensional rifts can open. It swallowed up an entire fighter plane squadron before. There's all kinds of things that vanish. 37,000 people under the age of 18 went missing last year in Canada. No, you got to make sure that when you're investigating something that could have a supernatural threat to it, that you stay really, really cold. It's not about emotion, it's about tactics. And we can't have the margin of error here. Now, what we got here is we've got every other entrance and exit to this house has been really, really nicely walled up and heavily guarded and all the rest of it, except for this one little basement chamber here, which is a doorway which goes down. Now, if I was a lesser man, I would climb down there and start rooting around with my flashlight and go, oh, look, hey, there's a whole lot of big spider webs down here. Oh, it's really, really sticky. No, you don't do that. You document it, you videotape it, and then you make plans for assessment at the time. That's what you do. Again, also, if this area is so totally overgrown, why have I got worn pathways wandering all the way around the house? A little odd there. A lot of air coming out of the holes here, like a noticeable draft coming from inside the house to the outside of the house. Why is that? Also, when listening, you never actually listen to the door. You always put something solid to the door and put that object to your ear.